Okay, welcome back to another video for OCR GCSE Business. We're heading towards the end of Unit 3 now. I've got one more to go after this, and it's training and development. So productivity is a measurement of output per person. I covered this a little bit in the previous video. A skills shortage or skills gap, again, covered this in the previous video, but this is an area of the business where you don't have particularly good experience or skills. Customer service is what sort of service is the customer given. That can also be after sales service. It could be at the time of purchase. Secondments or job rotation is a chance for an employee to temporarily experience another team or another department. For example, in a school, that could be a geography teacher teaching in the history department for a period of time. What is the difference between training and development? So training is more short term and it's focused on helping a worker to do their job well. Development, though, is more about in the longer term, focusing on the long-term potential of that employee and trying to making sure that they achieve their potential. So why bother train your workers at all? Just pull my list up. So first of all, there might be specific technical skills that you need them to have that they might not have at this current point in time. For example, using a new piece of equipment or machinery. They may not have the right personal skills. You might need to support them with that, like communication skills. There might be something specific, health and safety within your business that they need to be complying with, if it's food related or something like that. It could be diversity related. They may need to be made more aware of specific diversity issues. Management, so it could be that you've just become a new manager, you're a junior manager and need support in how to manage staff. New workers, so induction training. Again, I covered induction training on the previous video, so we might want to induct our new staff. It could be group working. Some people struggle to work in groups. You might to train your employees on how to work in groups. It could be a new product has come in. For example, if you work in car sales, there's a lot more like electric cars now, so you need to have a knowledge of those new products. Flexibility, so you might have to train your workers how to be more flexible, so maybe working in different teams or working from home and things like that. You might to retrain your staff because you've already trained them, but maybe it didn't work, and therefore you need to go over something with them. And also their personal development, their longer term ability, making sure that they fulfill their potential. So here's a few different situations you may want to think about out of those needs on the previous slide. What situation is here and what sort of training need is there? Okay, so why bother training your staff then? It should improve productivity, should solve any skill shortages, should improve customer service, should improve the motivation and retention of staff. Drawbacks, it's going to cost the business money, it's going to take the business time to do good training, and there's also an opportunity cost involved there. If we spend an afternoon doing training, we're missing out on being able to sell stuff, make money, things like that. On the job training then is the first type of training we're going to look at. This is when we basically the training takes place at the workplace while the worker is doing their job. So sometimes you might have been to a doctor's or you might have been in school and there's been someone at the back of the room sitting and observing. That's likely they're completing on the job training. They're watching that person complete their job and they're taking notes and things like that. It's good because it should be specific to the business. Usually it's a lot cheaper than the next one we're going to look at. You can also still produce while that person is training. The trainer may need support. They may need to support the trainee, and that can take again a bit more time away from the business. While that is happening, the quality of the work might be a bit poorer, and that could also lead to lower productivity. The next one to look at, went a bit far, is off-the-job training. This is training that takes place away from the workplace. The employee is sometimes sent somewhere else to complete this training and they're not doing their job at the same time. So they might be sent to like a local college or a local university or something like that to complete their training. Usually this training is completed by experts. The workers should be more focused because they're away from the workplace and away from workplace distractions. There are more costs involved for the business, higher fees, travel, accommodation fees that they would need to pay, and also that employee, they're not at the business, they're away doing the training, so productivity may fall. There are a few different types of off-the-job training that you should be aware of. So lectures, so going to university, receiving a lecture on a specific topic. Could be a demo, could be role play or simulation, could be a team building, could be just reading up on something. Induction training is also a sort of put that as a little star there because obviously we've covered it before. That could be off or on the job, just depends on the business. So just bear that in mind. Some induction training takes place away from the workplace. Some induction training can take place at the workplace. Okay, so we've got a few things to look at here. So induction training, covering this in a little bit more detail. So you need to know the advantages to the worker, the advantages to the business, and the disadvantages to the business of offering this. So the good things for the worker, they didn't really have any disadvantages of completing induction training. They should help them learn about the culture, get to know their other employees, and help them work safely. It's good for the business because, again, they learn about the culture. Any health and safety issues can be addressed. Disadvantages, it does take time and it does cost money to obviously complete that training. Staff development is all about training and developing a person over a longer period of time. Examples of this can be apprenticeships and professional development. So they could complete specific vocational qualifications while they're working. They could do academic qualifications. They can do professional development programs, and they can do secondments, which I spoke about before, where you get rotated round into another area. All of these ways on the left-hand side are different ways to develop staff. You also need to know about apprenticeships. You might have learned a little bit about apprenticeships in school, and it's the same that applies here, but you need to know the pros and cons for the businesses of offering apprenticeships and the pros and cons for the employees of taking up an apprenticeship. An apprenticeship is a mixture of studying and working. So it's good for the businesses because usually the person you're hiring is cheap. There's also sometimes a government subsidy, so free money from the government for taking on apprenticeships. Training can be tailored to your business. It does cost the business money to develop an apprentice. They may make more mistakes and they may not finish the training. So you could sign them up to a 4-year apprenticeship. They stay 2 years with you and then they leave. And you put all that money and time into them and they can just leave. Or they might just do the 4 years and then leave. Pros and cons for the employee: you can gain qualifications, you earn money while you're learning, you get to combine practical as well as theoretical. So you get to, if you're a plumbing apprentice, then you get to learn about it from a book, but you also get to go with someone more experienced and actually do the plumbing. The pay is usually quite low, and the qualifications are very specific usually to the businesses. Some people prefer an academic route. They prefer, being at university and things like that. Professional development is up next, so it involves learning over a longer period of time. Good for the business, bad for the business. So good for the business because it can help future staffing needs, so it can help fill those skills gaps. It can be motivational for workers and productivity, should develop their long-term potential. It can be expensive, it can lead to staff absences, and the worker again could leave once they've completed their professional development. It's good for the employee because they gain new skills, more confidence, there's better chance of promotion down the line. The disadvantage though, it can be quite time consuming and can be quite stressful to do this alongside working. That's the end. Thank you very much.